If you find yourself living a lifestyle or customs that, aren't really traditional, maybe you've gotten away from what you were taught by your parents, you're living something that's kind of foreign to them. Well, this is an author that you're going to want to talk to and really listen to because she has some great insight into non traditional relationships that ultimately can really help us bloom, get along, and love each other on a deeper level. Lista Gough wrote the book Evolving Relationships, the guide to communication and intimacy in happy, healthy relationships. We want that, Lista. Come in. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, share about the general message about your book.
Well, it's really about people being themselves in their relationships, being authentic. So, yeah, it's just
What does that look like? How
tradition.
is that different from being traditionally thinking?
Well, traditional relationships might have involved the breakup of different aspects of what relationships are, like finances and housework and things like that.
The man
So,
goes to work, the woman stays
yeah,
home, cleans the house, takes care of the babies, and you're saying there's a
yeah.
different way to have a camera angle on this whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. So, what I'm talking about is basically negotiation, talking to your partner, using communication, because that's really where it's at. You know, we're evolved beings. We should communicate more.
Hmm. So hearing the phrase, "Why do we do this? Because we've always done it," is out the window with you.
Yeah,
Let's
pretty much.
rethink this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is not just for, which is fantastic for spouses. I mean, great communication, rethinking roles is very important. But I'm really interested also in the fact that this goes much further past our personal, like intimate relationships. This is close family, friends, coworkers, strangers in the grocery store. We can
Mm.
rethink the way that we handle situations and our roles. Would you expound more on that?
Oh, yeah. It's really for anybody. You know, so yeah, definitely with family, but platonic relationships as well, and our friendships can certainly benefit from more intimacy. But you know, I'm talking about things like deeper connection. That's what I mean by intimacy. So really creating deeper connection, and I think that's what we really crave at the moment is just connecting with others. It's so important.
Boy, there's a lot to just dive into that alone. Um, we think, I imagine, that we're communicating when we're ships passing in the night. What does deeper communication, rethinking communication look like to you?
About being authentic. For some reason, we've built up these walls around ourselves because we're afraid of being hurt. But really, we're losing out because of that. We could gain so much more by being vulnerable and allowing ourselves to be truly authentic, to be ourselves and
Mm.
connect.
Sharing more deeply our hurt and our needs. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, our needs, our values. Values are very important to see whether our values align with other people. You
Mm.
know, creating our circle around us of people, like minded people, is very important for our mental health.
Wow, that's a really good point. One of the things that you talk about is boundaries. Those are
Yes.
really important.
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you
In
share more
all
about
of
that?
our yes, in all of our relationships, not just our intimate, you know, with our partners, but also with our family. Particularly, you know, once we've become an adult, we've got that adjustment period from being their child to being a grown adult. So, you know, it can take a bit of effort and some bumpy road in trying to find our boundaries. But it's really important, and it can really strengthen relationships by having those boundaries. I just also want to say that boundaries, we should know that there's a difference between boundaries and rules.
What is the
So,
difference?
rules are something that we inflict on somebody else, or you cannot do that. But boundaries are about ourselves. Boundaries are about what keeps us safe and keeps our needs, um, well, addresses our needs. So there's that difference where, oh, you can't do that. Whereas in boundaries, we would say, well, this is how I think, and if you do that, that's up to you. But these are the consequences that I have if that's going to happen.
So when we're talking about boundaries, I mean, a lot of times we associate with that with meaning we need to learn how to say no. Is boundaries more than just learning to say no?
Yeah, yeah. It's also about what you want to say yes to as well. So, it really comes down to communication. Boundaries are and communication are interlinked. You can't get away from it.
Hmm. One of the points that you make is social conditioning, and I'm starting to see the direction that you're going. When we are conditioned in traditional ways, that's the road that we go. But I'd love for you to talk more about what you mean by social conditioning and how that affects us and our relationships.
Hmm. Yeah. So social conditioning, basically the way we've been brought up, but also out the society in which we live. So obviously, the way we grow up in the West can be very different to what other countries may experience. So this also leads to our expectations of what we believe our relationships should look like.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I think we've also gotten to this time where people want more out of their relationships. People want more out of their time. So they're really starting to question the way they've been raised and the way our society works.
Having this mind shift, which is really what you're talking about, this could be a generational change. I mean, 4 or 5 generations before did it this way. We reset, and now our children start doing things with our new mindset. That's
Mm.
that's a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's changing the course of where we're going, I think.
What are some more examples of changing that mindset from traditional to, a new way of thinking?
Well, I think some of the examples is more equality for men and women in relationships, um, even genderless relationships. That doesn't even need to factor in. We can have any kind of relationship now that we want. And it really comes down to what does that person want and what do I want? And
Mhm.
is there a middle ground?
Hmm. So as long as everybody's in agreement, really nothing's off limits. Is that pretty much it? I mean, as long as you're communicating and you're sharing and
Uh,
you're in agreement?
Communication, agreement, consent is a big thing too. So, yeah.
Communication, consent, agreement.
Hmm.
There's a lot of times I imagine people in traditional relationships are not exactly saying what they want or need.
Mm, yeah. And, I think for a lot of people, I know I grew up the way I grew up, my parents thought that the other parent was a mind reader. Well, you've actually got to speak what's on your mind.
Sure. So another topic that you talk about is relationship diversity. What do you mean by that?
So, relationship diversity can include other types of relationships. So, particularly platonic relationships are becoming quite important in people's lives now. Um, and Also relationship anarchy, which is, it's that my friendships are as important as any other relationship. So things like that. I'm talking about,
Wow.
yeah, relationships that are outside the norm.
Right. Because all the relationships that we have are what makes us who we are, right? I mean, a sibling relationship, a best girlfriend, or, if you're a guy, a best guy friend.
Yeah,
So it's really kind of just revisiting what helps me to be whole and happy.
exactly, exactly. It's a tapestry. We create the tapestry, and it can be beautiful.
What would be the big message? What do you want someone to feel or think after they read your book?
I want them to know within themselves that they can create the relationships that they want that help them be fulfilled. So, yeah, to be whole and unique.
Hmm. So, for someone that's listening or watching the interview, if they feel like they're not getting enough friend time, that
Mhm.
they're drowning, they're not getting enough that they can even give back. Does it start, you keep pounding communication, does it start with a conversation, sweetheart? I need to schedule time with a girlfriend. I need to schedule time for myself. I need to schedule.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a budget. You're budgeting your
Yes.
time and expressing
Mm.
what your needs are. Is that where it
Mm.
starts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's what I do. It's all about, well, we've only got a limited amount of time. So
Yeah,
yeah, we have to budget it. And it's not even about, oh, this person's more important than that person. It's not that at all. It's
right.
that each person within our lives touches on different needs within us. You know, one person cannot fulfill all of our needs. So having more people in our lives helps us feel more complete. And by that, we bring that energy back into our other relationships. And it really keeps things more vibrant and alive.
Listy, you are making me think. My wheels are going like crazy right now. I mean, maybe some people are fueled by the energy of other people. Maybe they need to volunteer. I love the fact that you are asking people just open their mind. What fills them that they might not currently be doing? Maybe the
Mm,
first bit of communication has to be with ourselves.
yes, self knowledge is an important
Love
thing, and
it.
self care. Mm.
Yes.
We have to
Listen,
treat ourselves with compassion.
what a kind, gentle, thoughtful person you are. And I love that. I love the heart of the book, Evolving Relationships, the guide to communication and intimacy in happy, healthy relationships. Lista Gough, I know that you're represented by Book Trail Agency. And where else is your book available?
It's also available on Amazon and through my website, www.yourrelationships.com.
Awesome. Lista, have a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks very much for having me.